Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Anyway, this is my Brant breeding pen. This is where I put them in the spring all the time, and they're in here till August, September, and then I move them back out the other way. But this is what I've been working on for like 45 years. It's taken forever to get them going, but now that I've got 2 or 3 generations captive bred, 3 or 4 generations, they're breeding more regularly. It's working out really good. It took a long time to get started, and what I've got here is 2 different types of Brant, and I tried to illustrate it on the sign here. I've got a comparison sign in the middle, but these are the high Arctic Brant, and everybody calls them the gray bellies because the black chest line stops right there. The black doesn't go all the way down. Here's a photo of both kinds of Brant, and it shows that these go clear up to the really high Canadian Arctic, very high latitude. It's extreme up there. I was up there banding, and there's muskox and wolves and everything, and the tallest plant you'll see is about that tall, and it looks like a huge gravel pit desert. It's just amazing. I don't know why they go there, but it's just these gray bellies that go up here to the Perry Islands. It's where the explorer Perry left he's got a big monument there. He went through there. Early days, they were always looking for this Northwest Passage. They wanted to be able to sail their boats across back to Europe. They never did get to it because of the ice. Nowadays, it's open a little bit more, and they're actually going through there sometimes. But anyway, it's just these 2 types of Brant. This is a really small population. We just funded another DNA study about it. They've been trying to figure out if they would qualify as a subspecies or their own species or anything like that. And the DNA suggests that this at one time was a mix of Atlantic and black Brant. It came together there, and these were started as kind of a hybrid or a crossbreed. But they think they've been geographically isolated for hundreds of years. That's why they've got this consistent pattern of the black line coating on the chest and very little neck ring. The neck ring is split both front and back, so it's just a little bit of white on each side. So anyway, I think these are the only ones anyone has in captivity. Eldon Pace and Paul Dye went to the Perry Islands one time back in the 70s, and they got a start. They brought back some eggs and got a start of these birds. And so I got a female from Eldon and got started with this probably 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I don't know, and it was really slow. For a long time I couldn't get them breeding, then I finally got them breeding. What's frustrating with Brant is you'll wait all year and you'll get 4 or 5 eggs. You'll hatch 3 of them, raise maybe 3 of them, hatch 4, maybe raise 3. 2 out of 3 are males almost every time, or 3 out of 4 are males, or 4 out of 5 are males. This year I thought I had a real breakthrough. I had a beautiful nest right here. Girl hatched 6 out of 6. 5 out of 6 were males. Had another one hatched by the other pole. She hatched 2. Both were males. So I raised 8 this year. It's the most I've ever raised of these high Arctics, but 7 out of 8 were males. But that's life. That's the way it goes. So anyway, I just really enjoy working with these guys, and they love to nest up against something. A piece of driftwood like this is a slam dunk. I got a whole bunch of them over here. Tires, horse collars, Christmas wreaths. I've had them nest in all kinds of things. It kind of gets to be a game with me, but where I can get them to nest. When the Brant decide to nest, they make a scrape here. They don't need hardly any vegetation or nest material. They make a scrape. Second, third egg, all of a sudden here comes the down, and by the time they get to the 5th egg, they've got this pile of down like this. It's just amazing. Anyway, you can kind of see what I mean if you take a close look. The black quits at the chest line, and the neck collar is broken in the front and back. These are all blacks over here, the Pacific Brant, yeah. So I got the blacks over here, the Pacifics. And you'll see what I'm talking about if you just look at the black going down the belly. Here's the comparison photo again, and the different flyways. it's a huge population difference too. There's like 160,000 of these in the wild, and there's like 6,000 or 8,000 of these. And if you saw where they were nesting, you'd understand why, because these guys are just, like I said, they're nesting in a desert gravel pit with all kinds of predators. I mean, huge four-legged predators. And it's so extreme north. That was the photo I had in my slideshow last night of the mothers were leading their goslings over icebergs. They were sitting on icebergs offshore during the day, and then they would try to walk inland maybe 75 or 100 yards to find some grazing, but they couldn't go too far because then the wolves would get them, see? The wolves, or any eagles, jaegers, on and on and on, foxes, just terrible. They would run back to the water and go out and sit on these icebergs with their broods. It was bizarre. And so then these are the black Brant. There again, I've been working for many years to get them going, and I'm doing better all the time now. It's going really good for a change. For years I would raise 1 or 2 or 4, and the same story, but then after I got recycling homebred females a couple generations, it's going better and better now. And you can see the young ones in there. There's still probably 10, 12, 14 young ones in there. The white stripes on the wings. And a lot less neck collar. They haven't really got their neck collar grown in yet. But see the birds when they're looking at you from the front, they're black all the way down and they got the full neck collar. And then they almost always nest over this way along the fence and by these poles. The other big problem is you get nests going and old hens are really steady and going and good. Then here comes a new hen, a 2 or 3-year-old that's never nested. She's wandering around here and going, oh, I don't know, I think I gotta lay an egg, but I'm not sure where to put it. And if you don't have this circle of wire, she'll go diving in there and cause a big fight, and I'll come out and there'll be eggs over here and 2 broken eggs over here and all kinds of feathers. So putting these circles of wire around them is a really work for me once I get them going nesting. And the other problem I had when I first got them going, they were all in the pond here, and you'd see them doing some breeding and courting and pairing up and all this stuff, and then pretty soon they come over here, and once this hen decides she's going to scrape here, they are just cemented right here. The hen stays here or right nearby, and the male stands here and guards this nest just all day, all night. So when I first got them breeding, I go, oh wow, this is great. They're nesting, they're laying eggs, it's going to work. Eggs would be infertile, or 4 out of 6 would be infertile, 5 out of 6 would be infertile. So what I kind of figured out was that they're spending so much time here guarding this nest site from all these other pairs, they never go back over here to the pond for mating. So I started this program with hot water tank pans and hose off the faucet and a timer. And I've got the hose now, comes over here, and I'll have a pan and another pan and another pan and another pan, get the picture. And every 4 hours the timer goes off and it runs this pan full of water, and I just let it spill over. And years ago I started putting feed and water here, and I'd come over and I'd dump the water pan, refill it, and by the time I'd walk away they'd jump in the water pan and start breeding. And that's what gave me the idea. And actually Eldon had mentioned this too. He had had it happen at his place also. So now I've got this big network of pans going all through both pans, and it works out really neat because I'll have a pan here, and then this hen will go to setting, and then I'll put the circle of wire around and I'll include the pan. And so then she can get off and on every day, go to the pan, get herself wet, take a bath, and then even better, when she hatches, I can have her and the goslings out here for about 3 or 4 days, get them a good start, get them mobile, and then I'll take the circle down and let them go out to the big pen. So that's my story, and I just, when they're really nesting and good and talking, and they want to be near each other, yet when they're near each other they're almost always fighting a little bit, but I think that's part of the natural process. So anyway, that's what I do.
So when you put the wire around, you don't have like an enter exit, like they're stuck in there kind of, and you feed them and water them in there?
Yeah, and it's only 2-foot wire, so you know, if I have to, I can step over real easy and get in here and do something. You know, I've got this for the water. Most days I'll come over and if the pan's dirty looking, I'll dump it. And then I got just a little bit of food pan here. Once she's setting, she doesn't hardly get off. You know, they get off once a day maybe, but they're not quite as bad as eiders that don't ever get off. But anyway, but you know, just the down and the goslings and everything is just, I really enjoy it. So anyway, the short tender grass is their favorite thing in the world, and if the grass gets like this high, then they don't want it. So you got to keep it short and keep it new and fresh and tender. So we're mowing quite a bit in the summertime, and then sometimes in the winter I'll put them over there just to keep the grass in better shape. We're having more trouble keeping the grass going now. You know, the weather's changed quite a bit, and this year we had like 65 or 70 days without rain, which is just, I never would have believed that 20 years ago that we'd be saying that. But we had a really dry, warm summer. This year the season was good because instead of going up to 95 and then coming back down, it just kind of went up to 85, 88, 85, and it stayed there. And I had birds nesting and hatching clear into July. It was a long season.
With the summer being so warm now, do you have to worry about like shade and stuff with the open nest?
Yeah, shades are getting to be more of a problem. They'll go over there later on. Also, I put those little plastic trays. I've got some plastic patio trays over my feed pans there. If a hen's sitting here and she's, you know, cemented in and it's starting to get hot, I'll just bring one of those and put it over her, and it never bothers them. Once they're setting, you just about can't get them to leave. You got to be a little more careful with maybe the first year hens or something. They're not quite as reliable, but the old hens, man, I can walk over here and just go like this and pick them up and look at the eggs and set them back down. They don't even move, don't even leave. But a couple years ago we had some really hot weather right when they were hatching, and I lost 2 or 3 goslings right then. It really hurt the goslings. It was tough on them. But this year wasn't near as bad. And
will the hen take the goslings to like shade or anything like that?
I'm sure she would, but that's one thing. If they're in a house, it's better for them, but they don't like going in a house. But you know, I'll just keep her here with a few days. Once she hatches, then I'll let her out. You know, just get the goslings mobile enough. If you let them out on day one and you got a bunch of non-breeder birds over there, the goslings are wandering around. Pretty soon they're following the wrong bird, you know, and you can have a gosling end up clear over there and the brood's over here, you know, and then bad things happen. So